Welcome to Rock Club's record review of the Doors' debut album. My name is Kevin Z, and I am a lifelong musician and music fan. I'd like to think I've gained some musical wisdom over my 50 years of listening to, performing, and studying music from among my many favorite artists. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my Rock Club channel, as I intend to review another monumental album each week. I grew up with classic rock bands like Led Zeppelin, Boston, and Kiss. I watched as new wave bands like Duran Duran hit it big on MTV and television shows like Friday Night Videos. I witnessed the evolution of 80s alternative rock and hair metal and the rise of grunge. I'll give you my perspective on epic rock albums spanning across these years. I hope I can pass some of this knowledge along to my daughters Sky and Ava, whose playlists include tunes from my album collection and my first generation iPod with the circle dial on the front of it. And another inspiration has been friends from work, Maya and Patty, young gals who heard my playlist songs at work, and many of them for the first time commented how today's music had changed so much and how Gen Z could really benefit from my knowledge of these great artists and bands. I'm reviewing artists' album in their format order, so as they were originally intended to be listened to. Keep in mind, these are my opinions, so feel free to comment, agree, or disagree. So let's begin. While strolling along Venice Beach in Southern California, Jim Morrison sang some of his self-penned lyrics to fellow UCLA student Ray Manzarek, and his response was, "Hey man, we need to start a band." They chose to name their band The Doors, inspired by the Aldous Huxley book entitled The Doors of Perception, in which the author describes a journey into mysticism fueled by the hallucinogenic drug mescaline. Huxley took the name for this book from a poem by William Blake where he wrote, "If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite." The resonating theme being the attempt to achieve some level of mysticism through altered states of mind. Whew, heavy stuff, right? I've read the collected works of Jim Morrison, and it's great mind-expanding stuff. Some real phenomenal poetry. I think he'd receive an A in my Miss Moynihan's creative writing class back at Orono High School in the day. But I digress. Together with jazz-influenced drummer John Densmore, versatile bluesy guitar man Robbie Krieger, and Ray Manzarek on organ, piano, and bass, frontman Jim Morrison finally had the band that could translate, quote, the concert he hears in his head, unquote. The Doors' debut album was released on Elektra Records in January 1967, just in time to become one of the soundtracks to the hippie summer of love and the anti-war, anti-Vietnam War movement. It is brilliantly arranged and recorded album with all but 2 tracks being original numbers, which were credited entirely to the band as 4 partners, which was rare for the time. That is what they decided to do, and the credits go to all 4 band members. The Doors' debut album starts with a phenomenal track, number 1, Break On Through to the Other Side. This hard-rocking samba drum beat from John Densmore and melody line from Manzarek on keys explodes then into a 4/4 rock beat that propels Morrison's command to break on through to the other side, yeah. The lyrics are poetic, full of imagery, and give a taste of what is to come throughout the Doors' meteoric rise and run. Number 2, track 2, Soul Kitchen, features Manzarek's keyboard intro and Robbie Krieger's masterful bending guitar riffs as the rest of the band kicks into this mid-tempo rock tune. Morrison's husky vocals are showcased here as he pleads to sleep all night in your soul kitchen. And as we would find out, the party never seemed to end when Mr. Mojo Rising was in the house. Track 3, The Crystal Ship. Track 3 opens a cappella with Jim singing this love song ballad directly to the woman or women of his desires. Ray Manzarek accompanies with a beautiful piano arrangement. And Jim's poetic skills are clearly apparent in this hauntingly beautiful song, which has been covered by many other artists, notably Duran Duran. Track 4, 20th Century Fox. Track 4 on side 1, it features Jim's description of the California gal he's had his eyes on, and written from his experience as a connoisseur of the ladies. Track 5, Alabama song, quote, Whiskey Bar. Here the Doors took a song from another artist and they really made it their own, regularly playing it at their Whiskey A Go-Go gigs in LA on the LA Strip. It has a carnival sound to it and ties in with Morrison's now regular habit of day drinking and bar hopping. Side 2 starts out with Light My Fire. That's this last track on side 1. Light My Fire. This track on side 1, last track, was written by guitarist Robbie Krieger about his girlfriend and brought to the band for Jim to sing. It would become one of the band's biggest hits, and Jim's refusal to remove the lyric, Girl We Couldn't Get Much Higher, on the Ed Sullivan Show led to the band being banned from any future appearances on Ed's show. The Doors seized momentum from this controversy and would only gain more popularity amongst rebellious teenagers and drug counterculture. Flipping over to side 2, it opens with Backdoor Man. This is another cover song of a Willie Dixon classic blues tune. It would be a favorite of the band's for them to perform live and build on Jim's growing influence over the young women fans. With his chiseled Greek Adonis-like appearance, Morrison had been described by his good friend Tom Robbins as a 60s rock star with panty-dampening good looks. I've heard bootleg versions of this song where Jim rants and rambles about being invited up to a young girl's bedroom while her parents are away, and, well, you know the rest of that story. Next track on side 2, I Looked at You. Track 2 features Jim harmonizing on his vocal melody parts to great effect. The tune also has a catchy stop and start that surprises the listeners on their first round. The next song, End of the Night, track 3 of side 2, slows things down with this mysterious tune. End of the Night features Manzarek's prowess and an eerie sounding keyboard part, reminiscent of some kind of Dark Shadows intro soundtrack. Robbie Krieger is also featured on this tune with his jangly slide guitar throughout. The next song on side 2 is Take It As It Comes, the shortest tune on the album, clocking in at a quick 2 minutes, 13 seconds. It is the Doors' pop tune of the album, very reminiscent of songs by other artists of the time, very catchy. The final tune on the album is fittingly titled The End. This last tune on the album is an epic, dark adventure into Freudian psychology and Oedipus complex. Morrison gives us a glimpse into his Lizard King persona. He was infatuated with reptiles, and at one time he wrote a poetry book entitled The New Creatures, based around the mythos of reptiles. What started out as a breakup song, he had said, morphed into a much longer song as they performed it during their Whiskey A Go-Go days. And it tells a sort of mythological story, taking the listener on a wild snake ride through Jim's psyche. Did he suffer from an Oedipus complex? Father, yes, son, I want to kill you. Mother, I want to bleep you all night long, yeah. Well, Jim, as we would see throughout his artistic career, was always pushing the boundaries, and this song uses language for shock value to great effect when the song eventually speeds up into a sort of gallop and further into chaos. Jim chants, kill, kill, kill. He was rumored to have been on an acid trip when he recorded this in the studio. The song would be later a soundtrack to a scene from the popular Vietnam movie Apocalypse Now. The Doors' debut album has sold over 13 million albums worldwide, making it the band's best-selling. And in my honest opinion, The Doors is a life-changing listening experience and sensational debut. Thanks for tuning in, and look forward to more Rokk Club record reviews in the near future. Peace.